Need to shout so much more and say 20,000 is not enough, 30,000 is not enough. 30,000 is not enough.
I think 30,000 is enough.
At saturation point, because what does it matter?
Well, there's just the term itself. Saturation point carries negative connotations. I guess it suggests that one can take no more, that chaos is imminent. But I'm sure you've got plenty of solutions for such a scenario.
What does it matter if we have to wait another week for a hospital visit, or if our class sizes are slightly bigger, or if our city is slightly fuller? What does it matter?
Well, I mean, and this is just the worst case scenario, a thought experiment, if you will. If we were to have to wait even longer for doctor's appointments, I mean, we could die.
What does it matter?
If there were to be even more illiterate students in our classrooms, then our children could go uneducated.
What does it matter?
And I guess if our cities were fuller with jobless, illiterate, fighting age young men, well, you know what they say, the devil makes work for idle hands, doesn't he?
What does it matter if things are slightly more challenging, if we have to pay a little bit more into the system?
Oh, and they're going to raise our taxes too. Okay then.
Surely it is worth it to see those lives being restored again.
How about no?
How about no is right, but I guess we do have to commend the incredible honesty, or incredibly subnormal IQ of Labour MP Rachel Maskell here. It's refreshing, to be honest, to have a politician say the quiet part loud, or rather scream the quiet part loud from a soapbox in public about how our lives are going to get tangibly shitter and we're going to have to pay more for it.
Surely it is worth it.
I much prefer this approach to that of successive governments in the UK now, whereby they have shipped these illiterate military-age young men into our country by the millions, put them up in five-star hotels, allowed them to roam our streets, causing havoc and mayhem. And then when you notice that, they do one of two things. They either say, "What are you talking about? That's nonsense. That's a conspiracy theory." Or when you present them with irrefutable evidence, you know, crime statistics, just fucking numbers, they kind of go to you, "Well, yes, but it's for the greater good, you know. Who's going to pay our taxes? GDP and shit, right? All hail GDP."
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
It's going to make everything better, all these doctors and engineers coming over here in their hoods. So I prefer this honesty, but that's just my take, all right? We're going to get some other hot takes on today's video from some channel favourites, Jess Phillips, James O'Brien. We love a bit of James O'Brien, don't James O'Brien, actually, they contribute more than white people. Can't fucking wait, let's get into it.
Who's Daniel Boland? Oh, Daniel Boland, this is a heavy hitter. Do you guys know who this is?
The UK has secretly agreed to bring in 25,000 Afghan migrants into the country at an expense of 7 billion. Here's one of the pictures. Planes full of Afghans landing at Stansted's private hangars. So if you thought England had too much migrants, don't worry. The government is secretly using your money to bring in tens of thousands more. And in case you didn't know, Afghan nationals, according to the last few years of data, are 22 times more likely to commit sexual crimes than British citizens. 22 times. And they are spending 7 billion to bring in 24,000 Afghan men. But hey, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking racist far-right thoughts now. You're questioning why the UK is using taxpayer money, 7 billion of it, to bring in 24,000 Afghan migrants. Don't even think about it. The last thing you would want is to be far-right, racist, or even looking at something like this and thinking, why is it happening?
Afghans are 20%, according to these numbers, 20 times more likely to account for sex offence convictions than British people. Does that concern you?
I mean, like, I have to look across all of this data and think about where I have to really focus and target resources on the prevention work that I am determined to do.
Well, that was delightfully vague, Jessica. Jess Phillips there, our glorious Under-Secretary of State, who's responsible for the safeguarding, the protection of women specifically. When asked if she's concerned that Afghans are 20 times more likely to commit sexual offences, she answers that she has to analyse all the data. I've got to analyse it before I decide how we're at. What, we've got to feed all the data into you like a supercomputer? Are you Deep Blue? Well, you'll be playing 4D chess in no time with those mental gymnastics. Answer the question.
Do you think there are people in this country who have a culturally very, very different view of women and therefore are more likely to be engaged in these kinds of activities?
Which culture doesn't have patriarchy and misogyny in it?
Oh, fuck off. Fucking hell. Have we not got past this yet? Okay? Stop pretending. Alright? I thought we'd got past... I thought we all knew now that you can't say stuff like that without being laughed off the planet.
Because...
Do you think...
No, I mean, like, I have seen victims and perpetrators from every single walk of life.
Hey, you leave Dire Straits out of this, Jess. I'm always astounded at the breadth, the wealth of knowledge and experience that these politicians have, seen as, you know, tangibly they're not really ever doing anything much. They barely ever show up to work. But they always seem to have seen everything. You know, the bloody, I was a highwayman, you know? I've seen victims and perpetrators from all walks of life. Right, have you? Really? Fuck. You have been a busy bee, Jess. Speaking of Dire Straits, what do I hate more? Not Dire Straits, they're okay, but I'll explain. Do I like less, shall we say, people like Jess Phillips who lean into their yardly accents, you know, because it makes you seem more realisable with the people? Or do I prefer the Mark Knopflers of this world who are just, I'm American, down in the moon and American pay? You know? Which is more cringe? You can decide.
Do you think we are a fundamentally misogynistic?
I tell you what the group of people who are most likely to abuse, that is men.
And that's the face of satisfaction. That's her gotcha. I tell you what, men. All right, am I right, ladies? Look. Okay, it's men. All right, and let's pretend that there is no difference between one group of men and another group of men from the other side of the world. Okay? Let's pretend that's the case. Do you think, therefore, it's a good idea to import millions of them? Millions of virile, military-age men into the country. They're not accompanied by their wives and children, for the most part. As I say, the devil, idle hands. I think they might get bored after a while of traipsing round the breakfast buffet at the Hilton.
Do you think this is a national emergency? I absolutely do. I've had men flashing themselves to me in the street since I was about 10 years old. I've been groped.
I worry particularly about young women,
Yes.
teenagers and so on, the impact that this has. The abuse, the threats, the violence, the not feeling safe on the streets, the impact of all of that.
If it isn't our Home Secretary Yvette Cooper who claims she's worried about what's happening to women in the UK. Well, you could have fooled me.
We've been taught from so young that this is going to probably happen to us at some point. We hold keys in our hand when we go home. We joke about having pepper spray in our bag. You know, it's become something that's so ingrained in us that we have to protect ourselves from this.
To have this mission, really for the whole government, to halve violence against women and girls in a decade, you need to be the criminal justice system, you need people across communities, you need workplaces, you need everybody.
Yes, you do.
To be part of this.
We've had enough. We're angry, but I think it's a good anger, and I think we have to use it to drive forward. But it is going to be met with pipe down, shut up, love, keep a muzzle on it.
Luckily, you can come here, and we will never say, calm down, dear. What we say is that this is a national emergency, and we will sweat every asset that we have to try and change it.
Blimey, they don't half natter, those ladies, do they? It's funny. No, it's impossible, isn't it? They can't be living in such a parallel reality. They can't be living through the same stuff as you and I and genuinely come to those conclusions. She can't be interpreting all that data. Jess Phillips and Yvette Cooper, they can't be sitting there like two supercomputers and coming up with those conclusions organically. There's no way that they believe the shit they're saying. Who's telling women to put a muzzle on it? Nobody in civilized society is doing that. And I would bet you anything that they claim that the people are upholding the patriarchy and telling women to put a muzzle on it. I don't know what century that anyone last said that in. But I would bet you anything that the people they're accusing of doing those things are the ones that are being most vocal about the potential causes for the spontaneous surge in violence against women that we've seen over the last 10 to 15 years. You know?
It gets worse because I found out 20 minutes ago that these Afghans secretly relocated to the UK after that data breach have got together with left-wing lawyers and they're suing the government in a compensation case that could reach a further £1 billion.
Uh-oh, that's the last thing these Afghans needed. Jeremy Kyle is on their ass. God forbid he find out about all the unprotected sex they're having.
I don't use condoms. And all of this, whilst and I'm sorry to get on my high horse, while we're taking away winter fuel from pensioners, where there are men and women who have fought for this country being prosecuted, ex-service men and women, for what happened in Northern Ireland and being made homeless, whilst waspy women were lied to their faces, whilst farmers who provide the food chain in this country are being were financially ruined by this government, whilst energy's going millipede today is walking around going, anybody that doesn't agree with net zero should be imprisoned. I just don't know where politicians' priorities are anymore, mate.
Joined by the British Army veteran of 16 years, Andrew Kirk, and Cookie claims he was evicted by the Ministry of Defence to make way for an Afghan family. Welcome to the show, Cookie. You're at the thick end of this. This impacted on your life. Tell us what happened.
Rewind to 2023. I was medically discharged. It was the right thing to do. Part of that process, you get a whole bunch of resettlement packages to transition from military life to civilian life. One of those packages is retention to retain your service family accommodation. Now, it is caveated, and it does say it is at the discretion of the Defence Infrastructure Organisation. However, at the time, if we go back, we were in the midst of the financial crisis, interest rates through the roof, so I decided that would really support and help me. I applied in May of 23, and it was rejected. Fast forward then to September 23, and suddenly a large quantity of Afghan nationals suddenly turn up on the estate and occupy a large quantity of the houses that weren't occupied, which then led me to being out, moving over at Christmas time with my family, and any options of support gone.
Oh, me. What a sob story, eh? My house, my family, they kicked us out at Christmas. Oh, God. How are we ever going to reach saturation point with freeloaders like this guy here, eh? They've got containers full of Afghans coming over and there's nowhere to house them because this guy can't be asked to get a job. Look, we've saved the best till last, haven't we? We've got I would say one of my favourite people in the whole world, James O'Brien. Let's get his hot take on all of this and why the government covered up bringing thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Afghans to the UK.
I think they covered it up because the Tories created a population that was so enraged, with the help of Nigel Farage and his mates, created a population that was so enraged by the existence of any refugee, any asylum seeker. I think they covered it up because they didn't want to be the people that had to tell the public we were going to look after 24,000 people who had potentially risked their lives to look after our boys in Afghanistan.
You know, this is the thing I think I find most entertaining about James O'Brien. It's his absolute disdain for the British public. He hates us. He thinks we are the most odious, cretinous, fickle people alive, to the point where we cannot arrive at any conclusions on our own. We can't see things changing very, very noticeably, and mostly for the worst, for decades. You know, the sense of community disappearing in most places. Anything you liked from your childhood's just kind of gone. Everything just feels like it's falling apart at the seams. Not everything, but a lot of things. You know, most of the best things about living in the UK seem to have changed from what most people can tell. But James O'Brien doesn't believe that most Britons have the capacity, like Jess Phillips, to interpret all the data. Right now, we're not supercomputers like her and Yvette Cooper. We are fools, and we need a Pied Piper like Nigel Farage to come along and say, it's the immigrants, it's all their fault, you see, right? Otherwise, we'd never notice the correlation between a complete demographic change in our cities and the shittiness, you know, that everything just feels a bit crapper, a bit more dangerous, and just not as nice, you know. Maybe that's the reason they had to cover up the 25,000 Afghans coming into the UK, who probably had one of the more legitimate cases for, you know, seeking asylum. You know, seeing as we'd gone into their country, fucked it all up. Well, not that it was great beforehand, but we went in there, started a war, got a load of people to join in with us, and then we sort of went, oh, fuck this, and left. And so, yeah, maybe those people would have been slaughtered had we not helped them out. But maybe the reason we can't have any empathy, that we've lost any empathy that we might have for those people, is because it's like, well, what about all the other millions of people? You say all of them have a legitimate reason to be here, or you just don't. You say they're not here, or that it's not a problem if they are because, you know, GDP and shit. Maybe it's the constant lying about the seriousness of completely altering a nation for 2 decades, or more really, but it's really been ramped up in the last couple of decades. Maybe it's the lying about that makes people not want to hear about 25,000 Afghans being shipped over to our country. That's probably it, I would say. Not that people are just stupid sheep listening to Nigel Farage.
Even today is being warned about potential riots because we may have to house people that helped our soldiers fight against the Taliban.
There are concerns that it might spill over into public disorder. 15 of the 20 primary hotspots for the disorder, the local authorities, it was the top 20% of local authorities in terms of the number of asylum seekers which are being supported and Afghan resettlement arrivals. So I think we have a very serious problem on our hands here.
Why on earth has the narrative, the discourse surrounding this story already lurched into language like smuggling and migrants, when in fact it's allies and duty that we should be talking about? What's happened to us that allows this story to be turned into the toxic poison I'm reading in most of my newspapers today?
Ooh, toxic poison, that's the worst kind. Look, I think I'm done with today's video. It's If you've enjoyed any part of this video, which, you know, I think some of it was enjoyable, give the video a like. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Follow me on X and on Instagram and on Patreon if you want to help out with the channel even further. All those links are under this video. And nothing else. I'll leave you with the outro video and I'll see you in the next one. We'll do a palette cleanser, shall we, in the next one? With my not green screen. Okay, here's a palette cleanser as well, an outro video, a lovely outro video. I'll see you in the next one.
Don't you even dare.
Don't you even dare.
Don't you dare bring that shit up. I am 9/11. I am 9/11. I experienced it as a child, so it's mine. I was alive for it! Did I mention I was alive for the events that transpired? Did you know I was in school at the time? It was a morning! The events transpired during a morning. We had to go home from fucking school. You show some fucking respect for the fact that I'm a little older than you. It was on television.
You don't even know what that is.
Just get out of my face. Just get out of my face.